Again, my name is Mr. Kotb. I'm an ST3 Vascular Trainee in Deanery, Wales. Again, it's a quick orientation about how the system works in terms of training in UK, Wales, Ireland, and Scotland. My background is I'm a 2007 graduate from Cairo University in Egypt. Came to UK 2014, and I've got my training number last year. So the whole point of this is just that I'll try as much as I can to tell you my experience with the UK system and how things work here, because expectations are quite high. Once you come to a foreign country, you expect a lot and you didn't find what you're expecting. So whatever pitfalls and experience that I had during my stay in this country for the last 6 years, I'll try to help you with that. I'll also try to help you with your portfolio and getting the training number. So let's get started. All right, we'll do a quick introduction. I'll take you to the application platform. I elaborate how you're going to start an ORIAL account. Basically, ORIAL account is different from the NSF Jobs account. If you're getting an ORIAL account, it's basically you're applying to the deanery, to the Health Education Engineering Deanery, or even with deanery, to get a job through the deanery rather than through a hospital or through a trust. Then we're going to take you to the next section on how to prepare your portfolio, what they're expecting from you for portfolio, what tick boxes, what are the mandatory points, and all that. And then afterwards, we're going to go quickly through the assessment score sheet. Initially, I'll go through the previous years, how was the selection process done, and then I'll move on to the last year when I get my training number. Then we can estimate how we're going to get scored. Everybody can score himself accordingly, and then we'll take some questions eventually. Let's start by a quick introduction. All right, so that's the $100 million question, kind of the training Cct pathway or the CSIL pathway, what the advantages and disadvantages both. Okay, the CCT is a certificate issued by a deanery for a doctor who had full UK training in a specialty. I think they started a new system. If you are CCT'd in general surgery, it means that you already finished a core training, CT1, CT2 in general surgery through the deanery, and then you started your ST3 to ST8 through the deanery. Once you finish all 8 years of training, you will be awarded the CCT. However, having said that, I think that's recently changed by the requirement for the CCT pathway. They don't care anymore about the core training. So whether you get a core training or don't have a core training certificate, you can always get an equivalent certificate, which you're going to need to apply for the training system. And if you've done only 5 years, you can get a CCT. So if you got 5 years only in training from ST3 to ST8, you can easily get a CCT. And that's new. Before that, there was something called a combined program. If you apply to a combined program, basically, let's assume you applied for your training and you got your training number halfway through your training, or you've already got your FRCS, or one part of your FRCS, or even got like 10 years of surgical experience. Basically, you don't need that training. They will give you a couple of years as a trainee, maybe starting from ST6 or ST7. So you've got 3 years of training, and then you will build up on your previous experience, and that usually was called the combined program. And again, I'm not sure if that's still the case. I know one of the vascular consultants who was a very competent one. He came from Egypt with quite a significant experience in vascular. He kept applying for training number. Once he starts his training, they said you can easily do a AAA and all that. So you're gonna start from ST6. 1 year later, he got his FRCS exam sorted, and then after that, he got his consultant job in 3 years' time. He didn't have a CCT, and he didn't have a CSER. He had a combined program. So that's the CCT pathway, the combined program. The next thing is a trust grade. So trust grade service job. If you want to get a consultant job, you need to apply for what we call Article 14 or CSER. So basically, it's a long headache between you and the GMC. Basically, you're proving it to the GMC that your level in surgery is equivalent to a UK trained consultant. So all the big boxes that a trainee have done during his training, from core training till ST8, you need to prove that. And that's not only through a logbook. So let's assume that you've got 100 lab coolies in your logbook, and the requirement is 110. Then you need another 10 lab coolies just to be signed off. And them lab coolies need to be signed off by a UK consultant that you actually have worked with. And I think the requirement now, you need 3 different consultants to sign you off for a procedure. And the problem with the Caesar is not only the operative issue, like even if you can operate, you need to prove that you can operate. You need to get a consultant to prove that you can operate, and then you need the numbers. But I think in terms of numbers, the numbers quite going down now. They don't require the horrific numbers of 100 laparotomy or something like that to get Caesar. But as long as 3 consultants are happy to sign you for level 4 laparotomy, it means you're competent. So you don't need that much. You don't need that much experience with that. I think the other requirement for Caesar would require at least 3 publications, 3 audits. You have to show some management and leadership skills and all that. And you can easily get that from the site. We'll share that at some point on the Telegram or our WhatsApp group. But I'll give you all what you need if you're considering Caesars. Okay, advantages and disadvantages. The main advantage of the CCT, the main advantage of getting a training number. Once you have your ST3, you don't have to worry about jobs anymore. That's one thing. And you know for a fact that your next interview is going to be a consultant interview. And that makes a whole lot of difference, especially mentally. You don't have to live the gypsy life of 1 year of trust doctor in this hospital, another year of trust doctor. This hospital is not supportive. This hospital doesn't have the number. This is a basic hospital, but they prefer the training. You don't have to go all this hassle. You are favored. You will be supported by your training. You will be supported by your deanery. You will be supported by clinical education supervisor. The hospital have to train you. The deanery pays the hospital. They pay your education supervisor, clinical supervisor to get your learning agreement. And that's massive. And I'm not quite sure if you have worked in the UK before, but I've seen quite significant numbers when they actually, the trainee need a laparotomy. Even if you're on call, you have to step down and leave that laparotomy to the trainee because you need to tick the box. So they owe him that, and they will take advantage. So if you manage to get advantage of the system, get a Cct Pathway, you don't have to think about anything else. You need to get your training, get your numbers, get your ICP signed, and basically that's it. However, if you are experienced, that's one thing. If you don't think the training pathway is going to fit you, if you're not planning to stay in UK, like let's assume you're here for 3-4 years, then you can apply for the Caesar. Easily said, if you want a Caesar pathway, 70% of the Caesar pathway is basically the FRCS exam. To get to the FRCS exam, you need 2 consultants to sign you off, say that you're actually eligible for the exam. So they're basically saying you're ST6, ST7 level, so you can perform surgeries on your own. You're good care with the patient, you're fine with your colleagues. There is a form to sign you off for the exam. And the 3rd consultant needs to be the clinical lead. So if you're applying for colorectal, it needs to be the colorectal clinical lead signing off and say, look, he's fine, he's ready. For the training, it's quite different because once you reach ST6, ST7 and you want to go for the exam, you just speak to your TBD. Once the TBD sign you off, you go for the exam. But once you get signed off for the FRCS, you get part 1, part 2, but it has to be a UK FRCS and not the international one. Once you get to your FRCS, then you have to tick enough boxes regarding management, leadership, audits, closed loop audits, involved in teaching, some certificates, some degrees, some MPhils and all that. And again, there's quite a significant list. I think it's 4 pages. And of course, you need to get the numbers according to the new JCST guidelines. And I think that concludes what's the advantage and disadvantage of that. Having said that, what's more important than getting the FRCS and getting the tick boxes done, and obviously being in a busy hospital, we can actually see 2-3 laparotomies a day if you're on call to get things going, is a supportive team. Because you might be able to do everything, but you just they wouldn't sign you off for one reason or the other. And if they write something as small as like his communication skill could be improved, the GMC would say like, go and do some communication stuff and come back in a year or so. So that's and I've seen so many people who actually sued the GMC and they went to solicitors and all that just for stuff like that. Because along with all the requirements for the CSER, you need a consultant who is free for 2-3 hours to write everything about you, from caring and shaking hands and shaking head and body language and how you operate and if you freak out and all that. So you need to be really, really good with them consultants. So you need to at least work with them for 2-3 years. And again, ideally in a big, busy center. And basically that's it. On the left-hand side, you can see the Cct Pathway. So you finish your foundation, you got your core training, and then you go into 2 years of core surgical training. And again, during your core surgical training, you need to get your MRCS out of the way. You wouldn't get a registrar post. Like MRCS is mandatory requirements last year to get you to your ST3 training. And then after that, according to the specialty, usually general surgery is 6 years. You can finish that in 5 if you're good enough, if you tick all the boxes, and if you're in busy hospital, you go to the consultant. By the time you get to ST6, you need to start setting for your FRCS. I think you got 4 attempts for part A, for part 1, and 4 attempts in part B. If you didn't get it, then you're screwed, basically. Yeah, once you get your CCT, you can easily get a consultant job. Having said that, there is a bit of a difference between getting the CSER pathway or the alternate pathway and the training. For the training, once you get your CCT, I don't know how to put that straight, but you're level 1 consultant. You are a consultant who signed off by your GMC. You have a training program. The CSER, even if you got the CSER, some hospital, if you don't have the CSER and have only the FRCS and applied for locum consultant job, they can't give you a permanent consultant. They can only give you like a job for a year or 2, and then you have to go off somewhere else. They legally can't give you a consultant job unless you finish your CSER. And if you finish your CSER properly and get it signed by the GMC and all sorted, and you got your alternative pathway, some hospitals, especially tertiary hospital, would not allow you to do advanced stuff. Like assume if you're doing upper GI, they wouldn't let you do a Whipple. They wouldn't get you to malignant stuff. And I know one of the consultants who got his CSER done, and in order for him to do colorectal dissections, he had to do something major. So you have to do a fellowship in France, I think for 6 months or something, and then came back and got his first consultant job, which was basically permanent. But again, it differs, and that's another difference between getting CCT and getting a CSER. Application platform. I applied last year on Oriel website, but I think now there is an Oriel tool, which is I think it's a quick one to apply. Oriel, they ask about everything. I'll send some slides about how to apply for Oriel because I just went through that yesterday. Announcement and deadlines. I think the application is going to start somewhere on the 27th, if I'm not wrong. And then it's going to be there for a month or so. And then there's a selection process, which we can go through. Let's go for person specification. I'm not sure if I got this site here. Yeah, so that's the one, general surgery and ST3 vascular. If anybody wants the link, I can share that with you. One of my friends sent that to me, Mr. Isa, and I think he's around now. Where did the general surgery go? Yeah, general and vascular. So they're gonna get top scoring of 290 applicants, unverified self-assessment. So it's gonna be like last year. So you've got self-assessment pro forma. So 10, I think they will send the link to everyone. There is 10 pages of internet in that link. And basically, they're gonna tick every single box when it comes to your portfolio. They will say, have you got any prizes? What level of prizes? Have you got any awards, what level of awards? Have you got any postgraduate qualifications? Have you done anything after you finish your medical school? Have you got a master? Have you got a PhD? and then they rank you according to what you score in that ranking. Like, let's assume if you got PhD, you get 5 out of 5. If you got an MD, you get 4 out of 5. If you got a master's, you get 3 out of 5. If you are in second year master, they get you like 2 out of 5, and so on. Once you finish your self-assessment, you submit it to them, and then if you're shortlisted, they have to verify your evidence, and that's the major issue here, verifying an evidence. The major problem is the big advice here: do not forge an evidence. That's one thing, and do not make any evidence that's not substantiated properly, because if any inquiry has been raised about an evidence, it goes straight to the GMC, and then they're gonna have to stop you and then inquire, and then if you're clear, you're clear. So there is no point. I remember when I applied first time, it was just a letter signed by my consultant to say like Ahmed participated in an audit or something, and then the guy said like, is that letter from the hospital? I said yes, and it's headed and everything, and he said but it's not signed by the consultant. I said because I printed from the email, and he said sorry, we cannot accept that. For one reason or the other. So all your evidence needs to be very, very clear evidence, and it needs to be verified. And then if you're applying 291, you're not going to be shortlisted, and then they're going to take 250 according to the number of applicants. And I think what happened last year is there were so many candidates, I think, because they opened the resident labor market due to COVID. So instead of 200 or 400 applying, there was 600 something applying last year from overseas everywhere, Pakistan, Egypt, non-UK international students. And once you get that sorted, they start ranking people according to that. And I think they did a random, they checked like, I think 20% or 30% of them applicants. And that's it. If they manage to do an interview, you will have a dividend according to the interview capacity. There is a digital interview that will last 35 minutes. And if they didn't, they're going to go to plan B, which is applicant would be ranked and offered on the basis of the verified self-assessment on all domains. So that's the key word here. Because, and I think that's my personal, this is again a crack in the system. This is a crack in the UK system that they can't actually perform an interview. Interview was a pure luck. If you're ready, if you're practicing, if they think you're going to be a registrar, they're going to give you the job / the training number. If they don't, then you're not going to have the job. You're not going to have the job for one reason or the other. I think the portfolio was only one station back in the application 2-3 years ago. It was only 20%, and the rest would have to be like station, patient communication, consultant communication, clinical management, clinical scenario, with lots and lots and lots of practice, what to say, what not to say. But now I think it's becoming more and more easier from my perspective, because you just have to work on your portfolio, get your evidence done, get your stuff done, and just do the self-assessment and wish for the best. Going back to the presentation, oh, I'm gonna have to go through that again, sorry. Yeah, readiness and competency. Again, there is a competency certificate, and again, that was mandatory. Basically, it's an MRCS level certificate to say that you can actually examine patients, you can perform appendix, you can do this, you can do that. And again, there is a form over the internet. I'm going to send it to you guys. You can sign it by the consultant. Any consultant can sign it. It just literally tick boxes. In terms of preparing your portfolio, how to log the proper evidence, operation, clinical assessment, and tick all the boxes. I think most of the evidence you need to find is going to be on the ISCP. I'm not quite sure how many of you got an ICP if you're an international graduate, but there is 2 ways of doing that. I think way number 1 is you can actually print out a case-based discussion or an operation, write your own reflection, and get your consultant to sign it. Plan B is get an ICP account Add your consultant to the account. Whoever you work with, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consultants, they don't have to have a GMC to be added to the account. And then send the dated assessment to them, and then they will assess you and send you that. And this is how we collect the numbers. Regardless of the hospital you've been working at, that can actually work. But we'll go through it step by step. Again, you get 5 out of 5 if you're fine, 0 out of 5 you haven't done anything. Like, let's assume academic awards, you got no academic awards, you got no prizes in your life, you will get a 0. It's as easy as that. Clinical knowledge and experience, you can actually prove that through your ISCT by showing them how many case-based discussions have you done and the level of the case-based discussion have you done. If I remember correctly from last year, they said if you got more than level 4 CBD discussion by 3 different consultants, you can get a 5. I think technical knowledge, that would be operation-wise. They were insisting, I think they mentioned 7 operations. They needed ST5 level discussion / operation lab coolie. So you need at least level 3 lab coolie. If you got level 3 lab coolie, level 4 appendix, level 4 abscess, level 4 opening, closing the abdomen, and adhesiolisis, you will get the 5. And again, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be different this year, but this is what was required from last year. And again, I'll go through it and I'll get you exactly what to expect in that. But again, this is the kind of domain that you need to score as high as you can. In terms of courses, there was basically essential courses and additional courses. The essential courses was basically the courses that offered by the Royal College plus the advanced life support. So you've got advanced life support, you've got essential laparoscopic skill, basic surgical skills, you've got the CRESP, and you got the ATLS. So that's essential. You can't go anywhere without them. And they will tell you if you got all that, then give yourself a 5. If you got 6 mandatory courses plus another 4, give a 5. If you got like 2 plus 3, give yourself a 4. And again, it's a process. In terms of audits, and again, I hope you're all familiar about the audit and the audit cycle. The requirement from last year was getting either a 10 audit or a 6 closed loop audit. In terms of evidence, you can get your audit presentation, your audit department can issue a certificate. Or again, even if a consultant have signed and say, this guy has done this audit, then you're sorted. But you're gonna make yourself very clear when it comes to the audit. You need to say, what was the audit about? How did you do it? What was your standards? What was the guidelines that you actually followed during that audit, and how did you implement the changes? In terms of application, I think they requested 6 applications.
Mr. Ahmed, sorry, just to clarify something regarding lab coolie, someone is saying this is not accurate. Lab coolie is not counted. Can we answer this, please?
Lab coolie is not counted in what? Sorry, who is that? Sorry, I can't see the participants.
Yeah, because you must look at the chat, because some people talking.
Sorry.
Yeah, first one.
There is a long chat here. Sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah, no problem. So first one called Garuna Thansaiva. Okay, this creation, he is talking about the creation of this presentation. This is my creation in my trust for my audit. And I talked to someone called Mina, who was going to be with someone else. So go back to Mina, ask him if this PDF or PowerPoint presentation of Reda Harby or Mina Ragai, okay? Ask your friend. This is question number 1, because just to cancel this or to clear all this confusion. Second question, someone asking about Dr. Hirishoni Shah is asking about lab coolie are not counted. This is not accurate. So can we clarify this confusion to him? Dr. Hirishoni, can you clarify to us which one is lab coolie is counted in which section? In which section in surgical skills? He's talking about surgical skills in ISCP. This is not counted, Mr.
No, that was, having said that, in last year, they said put any additional procedure that you actually got level 4/3/4. So you can add your hernia, you can add your lat coolies, you can add your femoral hernia, or whatever you have done additionally. There was a blank one, I still remember that. So they were talking about the appendix, lap port placement, that's correct. Lap port placement, appendix, opening, closing the abdomen, adhesiolysis, and they asked for additional. And this is where your lap coolie comes into thing. And they specifically asked for an ST5. And again, that was last year. I'm not quite sure if that's going to change this year or not.
Yeah, of course.
That's my experience from last year. It's not an argument. It's not being accurate or not accurate. The more you get into your logbook, the hard evidence you get, the hard chance you're going to actually can get a number. Sorry, Amir, I've just looked at the question now. Sorry. You can take over, Amir, if you want. Can we make Mr. Khawaja?
Of course.
Yeah, he can take over.
Okay, of course. Can you raise your hand, Mr. Khawaja, please? Mr. Ahmed Hati, right? Is that
no, Amir Khawaja, Amir KH20?
Yes.
Yeah, just answer. Say.
Yes, Mr. Amir.
Hi. Hi. Good. Hello.
Hi. Hello, Amir. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, I can. Hi. Thank you, Ahmed.
You've got the mic. Go for it.
Yeah,
Mr. Amir Khawaja, actually, we used to work together back in Aru Park. I think he's 1 year older than me and obviously more experienced than me. We applied in the training on the same time, I think 2 years ago. He got his training number and I didn't. And next year I found out he was a faculty member giving ST3 courses. So I'm going to leave that to him now. He can take over.
Yeah, right. Thanks a lot, Ahmed. Hi, everyone. I'm Amir, one of the ST4s at present. I'm working in East Midlands Trainee. Now, the question here put forward, can I actually ask what exactly is the question? Because there are quite a few questions on the chat forum with very unpleasant sort of messages. But can I just ask what exactly is a question I mean, I can take ahead of the audit section, the last 4 sections, but can I ask you, Mr. Reda, Harby, what question are we answering here first so that I can see if I'm able to answer that question as per my knowledge is concerned?
So if Mr. Ahmed could finish his presentation and is going to talk about, just to clarify, Mr. Guranathan, it is the 10 management leadership and teamwork. It is written in every, if you go to Oxford and go for ST3 training, you will find these 10 bullets: management, leadership, teamwork, teaching. It's just copy. Plus, this is a presentation, and this is our hospital. You see, this is written in Welsh. So this is our hospital. So please kindly return back. If you find any confusion, return back to us, okay? So Mr. Ahmed, have you finished this presentation? And have you done?
I can carry on because I've just seen the question. I can carry on, or Amir can carry on. We're going to talk basically about the same.
You can carry on. Once we finished, we got the question by Mr. Ahmed with Mr. Amir Hati. Is that okay? With Amir Khawaja. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely fine.
So finish the presentation and then we will allow.
Yeah, in terms of publications, they were quite very, very particular about publications last year. They said we need a peer review publication who was actually a full paper. So they're not accepting any posters and they're not accepting any non-peer reviewed publications. They need a proper original publications. And when you add that to the evidence, actually, you will find that you need to write the publication. You will get your publication abstract, and you have to write the link for your publication if it's in PubMed or anything else, just for clarification, and of course highlight your name when you're doing that. In terms of presentations, and again, this presentation, it might be a local presentation that you've done through an audit departmental meeting, which doesn't count for much. They're going to give you one for that or something like that. It doesn't matter. It might be a regional presentation which you've done for the region, like deanery wise, or it might be a national or an international presentation. Any presentation that is being done in the ACB, GBI, ALS, GPI, or anything is counted actually as international presentation. And I think that they needed 6 presentations. So if you got an abstract that you actually presented, you can actually get quite good marks in presentations. Teaching wise, okay, that's a very significant one, and you can play it very well when it comes to teaching, because in terms of teaching, there is teaching courses and there is teaching. I can actually summarize teaching, leadership, and management and teamwork in all one go, because I think they're all connected somehow. Let's assume you want to teach the nurses how to do abdominal examination in the ward. You get 2, 3, 5 nurses. This is how you do the examination. This is how you see the patient. This is how you assess unwell patients. You can do that for 20, 30 minutes. You will get your feedback from them, and then you will tell your consultant, this is what you have done. Yeah, so that's a teaching session in a local hospital. If you want to get the most of it, do it 3, 4, 5 times and get the ward sister to sign you off to say you've actually done a series of teaching for the nurses on the wards, and the feedback was as follows. If you can get the feedback nicely done by computer rather than the handwritten one, what exactly and actually they actually said, then that would be counted. That's in terms of teaching. If you can think of any course that you can do teaching for, I assume any hospital, they got some medical students, any hospital, they got some F1s. You just need half an hour of teaching of a topic of some description, and then you can get that sorted. Go to your, I think there is a representative for the university. If you're a university hospital, or even if you got medical student, go say, I am involved in teaching. Can I teach him gallbladder stuff? I remember when I was at Arfak, I've done 4 or 5 times with Amir. We've done suturing technique for medical students, which was like 1 hour, and we got a certificate from Liverpool University. And you can count that as a leadership rule as well, and a management rule as well, because you've got some job in teaching and management, which is kind of outside medicine. If you got, I think if you want 5 in teaching, you need to do a postgraduate certificate in teaching. But when it comes to teaching, try to do as much teaching as you can, local, regional. You can even apply once you get your BSS or ATLS or ADA, you can ask, can I be a faculty member in that course? And that will go towards your teaching and management as well. I've done the TIP course, the total extraperitoneal mesh course in my previous hospital, which was Leighton Hospital. And I was a faculty after that, after I finished the course, and I've got that as a management as well. So this is how you play the teaching, management, leadership. And again, the higher you go, the more points you're going to score. Let's assume you've got a university job back home. You're actually a tutor in the university. That can automatically give you a 5. In terms of management and leadership, there is an online management and leadership courses that everybody can attend. But when it comes to management specifically, you need to design something. And actually, one of the audits, if you've done a quality improvement project about something, if you implement any changes, you can put that at the management. If you got any national role, if you are a representative of the medical students in your own hospital, if you design the rota, you can put that as management and leadership. Say, I was involved in the rota design and all that. So this is actually count. Once you get the certificate, which is usually can be signed by a consultant. Yeah, Ahmed is involved in the rota. Ahmed actually, I think I've organized, what was it? An X-ray meeting for all the registrars for half an hour. And I've done that 4 or 5 times. Got it signed by my supervisor, got it signed by actually the consultant who is doing the teaching. And that's management. You thought outside the box, you managed something, you showed your leadership skill, and you've got your evidence sorted. And I think I'll leave it from here. I'll leave Amir for now if you got any comments on that. Amir, Reda, can you please put Amir back, Mr. Harby? Mr. Harby? Have I got any participants? Hello? Okay, I think I can do it if you hear.
Hi, Ahmed. Thank you for letting me in. I think it's quite a comprehensive last 10 minutes what you explained about the thing. I think, to be honest with you, as I'm coming here at the last minute, if there are any questions relevant to each of these sections or the total presentation, I'm more than happy to assist Ahmed in any of those. So I'll leave it to the contestants, so she can attendees to ask any questions, frankly, about the process, as Ahmed has explained before, or any of these portfolio sections. And obviously, I can add up things from my side too.
Okay, that's great news then. So, fire question, guys. We're waiting.
Okay, anyone got any question regarding the portfolio build-up? Any question? Please raise your hand. You'll find the button. Chat is not allowed. Because just to clarify your idea in raising your hand. So, Dr. Thawab, yeah, I have unmuted you, Mr. Thawab.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thanks so much for all your help and your presentation. It's actually like a big help. I've actually got a couple of questions. Number one is, so I don't have any online portfolio at the moment. What I have is something like a Google sheet with the number of surgeries I've done and the up to the level of my competency, and
Okay.
as well as the surgeries that I've assisted my consultant in, right? So what I want to know is, if I'm applying for a training post, would a printed version signed and sealed by my consultant, who is also a GMC registered consultant, would that have any value, or would I have to absolutely convert it to an e-portfolio?
So that's one question. Next question.
Sorry, yeah. And the next question is, in terms of management, leadership, and teamwork, is an affidavit from my consultant, again signed and sealed, regarding multiple projects, multiple aspects of management and teamwork, is that enough in one letter, or does it have to be separate? Like supposing I was the managing the rota, and supposing I was managing a clinical society, do I have to get separate documents for each of those, or is one encompassing everything enough?
All right. In terms of your first question, when it comes to portfolio and all that, if your consultant is happy for you for certain procedure and certain levels, he can write that in details, like, I know this candidate, and then you write your name, you write your date of birth. I've worked with him in this capacity. So you can say he worked with you as a registrar, you were his registrar, senior registrar, junior registrar, for this number of years, from that time to that time,
Right.
And then during his placement, or during his training, or during his work in this hospital, he was able to carry the following procedure. And then you want to make it neat, Neat mean like your consultant would trust you with any colorectal hemorrhoid stuff. He would trust you with any abscess, and he would trust you with simple, straightforward hernias, So he can do that competently, independently, and all that. But when it comes to laparoscopic hernia, he needs to be assisted. When he's come to right hemicolectomy, that's fine. Left hemicolectomy, he needs assistance. You need to have, okay, let's put it that way. I don't want, if that evidence has been challenged, make it crystal clear for the interviewer, this is actually what I can do. Consider yourself as the interviewer, I came to you and I said, look, this is a letter from my consultant who got a GMC number. Say I can do this procedure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or someone who was actually set piece by piece, inch by inch. He did 109 abscesses, 5 assisted, and he done 100. And he actually was teaching juniors by the time he ended his training. So he's done 15 teaching, And then in terms of appendix, he was building up from that time to that time, and now he's in level 4. Complex appendix, I converted 2 cases. So the more details you give, the more idea you're actually telling them, this is what I can do in terms of operating. But if you leave it vague, if you leave anything vague, and that's a generic advice, yeah, you're gonna be challenged. They're gonna say no. So sorry, this is not an evidence. It's one consultant, and I can't take as an evidence. I'm sorry. So if you can get more than one evidence, if you can get it from more than one consultant, if you can get the date involved, if you can get as much procedures as you can, if you can get as much numbers as you can. And again, I think I've got here in my computer somewhere, somebody was asking the same question. I've got some sort of a pro forma that you can actually use to build that up, and we'll elaborate that more during the course. But again, this is something that it can easily be done or / accepted as an evidence. That shouldn't be a problem. Sorry, remind me what was the next question, because I already forgot.
Whether all the management teamwork, whether it's
management and teamwork. Again, you are my interviewer, yeah?
Right.
I give you a letter, just one single paper, yeah? Saying, look, Thawab was involved in managing different stuff in the hospital. He showed good management and leadership. He was involving in the following projects. Thank you very much. Or no. Thawab started in this day, yeah, at that date, let's say 3 years ago in March. From March to April, he done this audit / this quality improvement, and that was the outcome, yeah. And this is from me to certify, and that's my GMC number, and that's my email address. Thank you very much. Next letter. He was involved in teaching. He took the initiative to teach medical students, la de la de la. He delivered a series of teaching, la de la de la. I observed him, and the outcome was satisfactory. Thank you. So that's your next certificate. Your third certificate. He was involved in brand newing. He was the manager during his nights. At some point, there was no management, and he was the manager of the hospital. He took a leadership role for 6 months from that time to that time, and his job description in that leadership role was 1, 2, 3, 4. So the more you elaborate, the more it's going to count. If you don't elaborate, don't expect them to say, we're going to accept that. They will always challenge you, especially in the verification. You're not going anywhere without being challenged. And it's not as easy, but let's put it that way, Thawab. Somebody who has been working in this country for I don't know how many, he's been going to courses, he's been supervising courses, he's actually an ATLS trainer or something, or he's a TIP instructor, you know what I mean? He's organizing the rota for the deanery, and he's the ASIT representative, is going to get 5. Do you think if you give him a single piece of paper, you're going to be equivalent to that guy? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, of course.
No, that's a big no. Yeah. Let's agree, that's a big no. Yeah, unless you've actually did much more than him, but you need to elaborate. I need to see. And again, that's the key in portfolio. In the portfolio, you need your portfolio to be crystal clear, well organized, well done, well presented, that they don't have any further questions. They will ask you about the weather afterwards, because you made it pretty clear. But don't dig your own grave. That's the advice. Yeah.
Right. Brilliant.
Any further questions?
I've got one more, if that's okay.
Yeah, shoot.
It's regarding publications. Like, is there a lot of weight put into having a number of publications? Is it that important that it's absolutely mandatory that you have to have publications?
Okay, Amir, if you have the mic, can you please elaborate?
Hello, sorry. Yeah, I'm extremely sorry. Just there was is there any sort of a gap in the whole question? Because I just missed that one point. So can you repeat the question again?
So what I wanted to know was the importance of publications. Is it absolutely mandatory that you have to have a number of publications?
Yes. So as I said, the 10 sections which has been mentioned is actually the 10 headings. In between these 10 headings, there are 5 points each. So what happens when you say you need to have publications, you've got 10 sections, you go for an interview, always make it sure you're not leaving any section empty. So if you're getting 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, that's let's say 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, that's much better than getting 5, 0, 5, 0, despite the average is the same. Does it make sense? So subjectivity is very important. Number one. Number two, when you say this, no, obviously, in my interview, I just got 1 mark in the first section, which was the. Sure. Okay. So what I was saying is, no. When you ask this question, it's a very relative question. Is it necessary? No, it's not necessary. You can still get a training post if you score 0 in one of the sections. That is a simple answer. But try your level best. The problem with the publications is you don't get any marks for case presentations. You don't get any marks for any publications in which you have been one out of the 400 authors. It has to be first, a second, or a major author. The question which you're asking, the answer is no. Without any publications, you can still score 45 to 50 if you score 5 for every other section. But always make it sure that even if you've got a case report and that is not giving any numbers, you still mention you don't want to go with a portfolio with nothing in that section. That is subjective thing. So objectively, the simple answer is no, you can still go through it. But subjectively, it's better to have something on that page. That's the simple answer to the question.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That clarifies it for me. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Reda.
Thank you. Ibtihal, if you need to ask any question, Tawab, we have answered. So Ibtihal, I unmuted you and you. So if you have any question, Ibtihal, if you have no, it's fine. Your voice is very interrupted. Yes.
Hello, hi.
Hi, thank you, Reda. I just wanted to ask, I didn't join from the beginning, so sorry if I'm repeating questions that has been already answered. But you said that case reports don't count. I think they do.
Right.
From last year's self-assessment form, it was counting up to 2 marks. If you have 3 case reports, you score 2 out of 5.
Right.
So that's for case reports.
Right. So let me say something. So the issue is, when I applied for training, this was last year, 2019. And at that point, they used to say that if you got the same thing which you're saying, 2-3 case reports, the problem is all metaphorical. My question exactly is, when you are going into any publications, it's not what matters or what does not matter. The problem, my whole answer, because this time people have just only gone on the basis of the portfolio, right? So because I've not made this presentation, and if I were presented, and I don't know what exactly is the future planning of Ahmed to go for these things, I'm just looking for assistance. It's 5. Have you guys seen, any of you guys have seen, I'm sure, if you applied for training, you would have seen the 5 pointer things for every section. I've got a section on presentation of all of these sections. The problem with the case reports and all these things are, it's again a relative thing. When you go for case reports, yes, you get 1 mark, but that is again, you get 2 to 3 case reports. I'm not sure if that has changed, to be honest with you, this year, because when I applied last year, you're not getting any marks for any it's shared publications, anything at all. And on the case reports, you get 3 or 4 case reports before you get 1 point. And again, that was the question was, you still need to be a significant author. That's mentioned just below the publication. So when you go for case reports, as I said, my whole metaphorical question was, even if you haven't got anything at all, and what you say, this case series, and when you go for presentations in the journals, you write them down as abstracts. You don't get any marks for them, but you still need to mention them. When I say case reports, it's not exactly case report. I meant to say metaphorically. It was more that even if you got non-numeric marks for abstracts, you still mention them so that that section is not left empty. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, I agree. Last question. I'm sorry if I'm asking
no, sorry.
More than other people. So in the years of experience section, it was the first section when you say how much years of experience you have. They mentioned last year that the I think military service and paternity leave are not counted as a year of experience. You have to take them down from your experience.
Yes.
Is the study leave the same? So if you were like studying for a master degree or you're out of clinical practice, is it the same or it has to be counted?
Let's see, what I would again mention is from my experience in 2019, because I applied last year, and that's the reason Ahmed was giving this presentation while I came from assistance for 2019. I'm not sure what exactly was the criteria this April. I'll be honest about that. But when I applied in 2019, no, the numbers of your graduation are actually from the year. So let's say an example, I graduated back in 2010 and I've taken 2 years of military fine, but study leave or out of program or anything at all in the respective countries, at my point in 2019 April, the criteria was it was taken as a year. There was no exception to that. The only exception to that was, as you mentioned, I think the military service and one more thing which I did not qualify for. But no, the study leave, or if you say good for master's or anything, did not count for that. It was only the military service typically, which I remember. But again, as I said, is Ahmed online at the minute? Because I'm not sure this year if there was any change in the criteria of that. I don't remember in my year in 2019 there was any change. The military service was there, but not the study leave.
All right. Have you discussed about the format of the interview, of the online interview, or the?
Yes. So,
I'm sorry.
unfortunately,
I know it's a long.
No, not at all. It's not an issue. Unfortunately, till February 2020 this year, because I was a faculty one of the ST3 teachings, and we were going for the same 6 sections and one including the portfolio. But then the COVID came in. They said that there's a criteria of more than 48 months. Whoever could apply for, who has worked for more than 48 months cannot apply. That was rolled back 20 days later. And after that, the criteria came with just on the basis of portfolio. Now, what we have been told so far is that they're going to be a 30, that is what the latest information is. They're going to be a 30-minute interview. I suppose this would be a Skype or something like that because of the COVID phase. And along with that, a portfolio. Now, knowing that the second phase had suddenly hit now at, just in the last month, I suppose that's going to be the criteria because the applications have just opened, or are just going to open soon, I suppose. And what I was told that the interviews are going to carry on from January to April, inclusive of all the specialties. So it's a 30-minute interview, as far as I know, along with that, the portfolio. Over to you, Ahmed, if anything else in the information. Ahmed? Is Ahmed there? I think.
Yeah, he is there.
What is it? I can't see.
Okay, if Ibtihal fixed her mobile, we can have her. Okay, so first
just answer your question. Sorry, does that answer your question? It is a 35-minute interview so far. That's what they've informed, along with the portfolio. And that interview, from our information, doesn't look like it's going to be a face-to-face. It looks more as a Skype or some sort of a Zoom interview. That's what our information is so far.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hello. Can I ask?
Yes, of course you can.
Yeah. Regarding the CREST form, can I send my CREST form to my consultant back in Egypt, and he will sign it and put the post or sign of the hospital and scan it, then send it to me? Can I upload it after, or should be from here in England?
Sorry, regarding which form you said?
The readiness to enter practice.
Oh, right. No, so basically the form, which is the you're talking about the core surgical training competencies form, right?
Yeah.
So there are many colleagues of mine who in the year of 2017 and 18, because I was working in the UK prior to that, but there were many colleagues who, what we were told exactly, that you need to be a consultant. There was obviously a rumor that it has to be a FASIS and all those things. But I would say, and what I always used to say, June, is to be on the very safe side. If you can get a consultant from your country who is FRCS, you've hit the chord. That's it. He needs to be, if he's in FRCS and he can sign the form, because the problem is, I never faced that sort of problem working in UK. But outside of the UK, if you've got a person who is FRCS and he can sign the form, that is it. You don't need to have a consultant in the country. That's for sure. There's no doubt about it. You don't need to have a consultant in the country. You can have any consultant out of the country. But I would preferably say the problems is when you go for these sort of forms and suddenly the rule comes out and then you are in no man's land. So it's always better to have a person who's got FRCS in your country working as a consultant under which you've worked for at least, I think the criteria so far is 3 months, if I'm not wrong. To be honest, it's been 2-3 years. since we've had any information chain in that form. So that's the information from my side. Ahmed, you want to add up anything from your side? I don't think Ahmed is on.
No, I think you quite summed it up. When it comes, I think the criteria, someone you've worked for three months in the last 3 months with, and I think no one would quite object on that. The reason I'm saying this, because if you had a look at the checklist for that, is basically what you're doing from day to day, even if you're an SHO. So it's an MRCS level. So if you have an MRCS, they should sign you off. It goes without saying, as long as you've worked with them. It's not something major that, oh, he can do this or he can do that. So ideally, you should get it signed from here. That even looks better on the CCT training model.
Yeah. So my question is...
There was another question. Somebody asked a question about the military service.
Yes, Ahmed.
So by definition, if you're not doing anything medical during them years, if you're on study leave, paternity leave, if you got a year out of training, if you're not practicing medicine, then that will be counted down from your experience. That's definite, that's for sure. Having said that, if you had a look, how did you apply to the GMC and how many years of experience you've actually shown the GMC, because it needs to be the same. Like if you apply for the GMC and say, look, when I had my military service, I was actually a doctor there for 3 years, so you can't take that back from me, absolutely fine. But if you said that once, that you were actually a doctor / an officer in Egypt who was actually working in a military hospital, you can't say, oh, I was in military service, you need to take that off. It doesn't work like that. If you work in medicine / surgery, then you work. If you didn't work, you didn't work. It can't go both ways. You cannot negotiate the system this way. I hope that answers your question. I don't know who was he, but that's my experience. iPhone, yeah, let's go for iPhone. One last question.
Yeah, sorry, my question is, so my consultant back in Egypt can sign it and put the stamp and send it by scanner, and I will upload it. This will be okay.
For what? Sorry, for what?
For the CREST form. For the CREST form.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But how long you've been in UK for?
3 months.
Oh.
Exactly 3 months.
Yeah.
Is there any chance
did you try asking any of your consultants?
Yeah.
Or even a senior registrar?
Sorry? Sorry?
Is there any chance you can get that signed from your consultant, any consultant or any senior registrar who passes FRCS?
Here in the UK?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it is difficult because I'm working as an SHO. They will ask about the operation. They will have some hesitation.
You wouldn't know till you try. That's one thing.
Sorry, there is a problem.
I don't know what did I say? Is it more clear now? All right, what was I saying? Is there any chance you can get that signed by one of your consultants and one of your senior registrars, somebody who passed his FRCS?
Should FRCS?
Put Egypt consultant as a last resort. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you will definitely get the Egypt one. Put it in your back pocket. But your main aim is, hi, Mr. whatever his name is. I've been here for 3 months. I know it's been quite a while. I'm applying for my training number this year. I'm preparing my portfolio. Are you happy to sign me off? Ideally, they shouldn't say no, simply because they're not going to be accounted for it. And you've already passed your MRCS. You've got your MRCS, yeah?
Yeah.
So all what's written there, he can do breast examination. Of course, you can do bloody breast examination. You pass your MRCS for a reason. He can do like peripheral arterial disease system examination. Of course you can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's an MRCS level. So they're saying that you can do that. I think it's a stupid one, but it's a requirement anyway. So ideally, if it's who's not, I don't know how to put the word, but who is it? And to be honest, from my consultant, he has to tick the box and sign. So you can tick the box for them and say you can sign. They only need to sign with their initial. So it doesn't even take 5 minutes.
Okay, I will try.
Yeah, just keep trying. If not, then you're gonna have to get it from Egypt.
Yeah,
it's definitely worth trying. I think if you go to 3 consultants and they say no, It doesn't matter. You're not going to have any, any next job with them. It's just a matter if they're not happy, if happy. But trust me, 90% will just say, what is it? You say it is equivalent. It is the wordings, how you present it. So if you say this is an equivalent form to an MRCS because I'm applying for ST3, they don't even look at the form, man. They just do it. So do try. If they're not, then as Ahmed says, fine, get it done from Egypt. But if you can, why not? You've worked 3 months,
yeah, you got
2 more days, and you're in the criteria, hitting the criteria.
It's called playing it safe. So the safest option is going for the consultant. Yeah, go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consultants. You have to sign me. Anybody who knows you by name, ideally should sign you off. If not, then there is no option apart from getting that from Egypt. But Egypt should not be your first priority.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? I think that's it for now. It's 10 past. What are you doing, Mr. Harby?
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to finish. If you have finished, it's fine.
I'm done. Mr. Khawaja's done, and then I think that's it for us.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will finish this by saying that we have reduced the number of applicants to be only 25 per group. We will put a Telegram group, and it will be a question answer, like one of the candidates couldn't do does not know what is DOPS, what's KICS, he will ask, and one of our admins, Mr. Ahmed or Mr. Khawaja, will answer us. And again, this is my idea because I am not trainee yet. So I done this idea because I asked many trainees to help me. So no one helped me out, to be honest. So because they're busy. So when you create some stuff, I have created this idea 1.5 months ago, and I went for many trainees. They are talking like, we need just to make 1 lecture, but we need a specific follow-up. So we need a group and to ask anytime, and the answer should be within 24 hours, because I don't know what are the case-based evaluation, what are KICS, what are DOPS. So I don't know, to be honest. So I have created this idea 1 month ago, and I went to many registrars with just to make it for all. And I believe that when you start earlier, if you haven't done your BLAB or MRCS again, just be oriented from now, because my mistake that I have made, I don't like you to repeat it. And again, as well as these trainees have no time for us. So we have to create a group organized thing for them, because they are my seniors. So I created this event for them to have like 1 hour of a talk, and then 5 concise lectures every week, and 1 lecture. And then we will do a group, and it will be continuous support from each other. So don't worry, if you have the chance, share it between you and your colleagues. This does not mean that you lost the chance, not at all, because hundreds of people are applying, not you only. So it's a good chance to have a help and good hands of help, like Mr. Ahmed Kotb and Mr. Amir Khawaja, and I'm very thankful for you.
Can I say something else?
Yes,
I think we're gonna bring more successful candidates for the next session. I know someone who got a vascular training number in Manchester, and actually we'll bring Mr. Isa here, who didn't get a number just because of 1 mark. I think he scored 42, and the job was from 43, and he's quite experienced as well. And then we're gonna get an ST8 trainee if we need to understand anything about the system. So yeah, we're still recruiting people to collect as much experience as we can, because at the end of the day, we need to give this our best shot. And best of luck to you all, guys. Thank you, Reda, for arranging this, and see you soon, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you. Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Amir, really, for your kindness. Thank you.
It's all right. Pleasure. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, Amir.